Hey guys, Daniel here, welcome back to the Motor Dan's Garage. And today we're going to be fitting the Easter Beaver PC8 onto my R1150gs. Now this is the PC8 that I've had on my DR. I've had this for a couple of years now. I've done about 20,000 Ks on it with no issues. I really like this. I've removed it from the DR because I'm going to be doing something slightly different with the DR, and I will be buying another one of these just with longer leads so I can reposition it to where I want to. Right, so on the GS, where I'm going to be putting it is down here. So this is your diagnostic port underneath the front seat, and I'm going to have this mounted right about here. I've got the fuel tank off just now, obviously. If you want to know how to do that, check out this video above. So I'm going to take this diagnostic plug off here, and I'm going to replace this bracket here with another one. A longer one that I can mount this onto. So first off we'll unbolt this and we can make our own bracket. So the Easter Beaver unit comes from Japan, and it provides you with 8 powered circuits, 6 ignition fed and 2 permanent. So we're going to mount it in that same place there, just like that. So I need to make a copy of this wee bracket here, but make it a bit bigger. So I've got a scrap piece of aluminium here. It's roughly about 2mm thick, this stuff here. And this, I'll be able to cut out something along the lines that will do the job. I'll remove this wee bracket here first, which I think you just push this centre bit in. Right, so you push it through. And then that should come back through. Yep. Right, so we can now try and copy this onto here. Roughly there and there. Problem with using scrap steel is I don't have a straight edge to go off of. It's going to be close enough, I think. Cut it, I'll just leave it a wee bit longer and we'll go from there. Right, so we'll cut that off there. So the Easter Beaver unit comes with a couple of mounting tabs here and here. There were some on the other side as well, but I had to cut them off to fit on the DR, so I will not be using them. What I'm going to do instead is just go through the 4 bolt holes for the mounts the circuit board onto the plastic there. And I'll bolt that right the way through there. I'll need to get longer bolts. I do not have the right size, so I'll have to get some of them. But that'll mount something like that. So we can drill the holes and get it roughly mounted, and we'll put the tank back on and make sure it fits. Right, so I've got that bolted up onto my plate there. There was just enough, there was like 1 thread in each one of these to put it on there. It'll do in the meantime, and I will get longer bolts to go through there. So that's how that looks there. We'll obviously trim this panel down once we've confirmed it's going to fit. Put a bolt in here. We'll chuck this back up on the bike and chuck the tank back on, make sure everything's going to be clear. Right, so on the bike here, on the airbox, there's like a little raised part here, so I'm just going to put a couple of washers there. And then we can put this bracket down. The original one had like a hole there. Looking at that straight off the bat, I will need to probably bend that slightly less. It's just in a bit too much proud there. Right, so I've bent that back a wee bit there, and that's probably where I want it to be. We'll chuck the tank on now and see if it's going to clear. So you can see there's absolutely loads of room in there. Now the seat doesn't come anywhere near down here, so that's not an issue there. That's a real good placement of it, I think. So we'll put the tank back off, I'll pull it off, cut this down, and then we can wire it up. So to wire up the Easter Beaver unit, it's pretty simple. You want to remove the cover here. It comes with the wiring loom, everything you need. So basically these three here go to your the actual unit itself. Everything's labelled, so you can't really go wrong. So with them on, you've got your two main fuses here, which are for the actual powers unit itself. You've got a relay here. This one here goes to battery positive, this one's battery negative, and then you've got a ignition feed here. Now this one doesn't come with a plug on it. I put this on for the DR, but we'll be changing that out to fit the Beamer. So basically I want this wire to come over the top of the battery. I want this one to come around here for the positive, and then this one to come around this side for the negative. One of the best things about the Easter Beaver unit is then you've only got two terminals on your battery. There's nothing worse in my opinion than having a million terminals coming off your battery. It just looks untidy. I think this could be an original battery on the Beamer. It sure looks like it. It's going to have the positive one coming over the top like that. And if I bring the negative one around. Now my bike is non-ABS, so this hole here, you wouldn't have this if you had an ABS model. If I had an ABS bike, I would probably mount it all in behind the Easter Beaver unit there. But I've got the luxury of not having ABS, so I can kind of go where I want, really. Right guys, so back on the Easter Beaver build here, I've done a couple of things off camera. I'll just quickly show you and then we'll carry on with the install. So first up is I just got a couple of stainless cap screws and put them in the back, 20mm ones, so they are long enough to protrude inside compared to the stock ones. I've also slightly changed how I had the wiring route. I can't remember how it was last time. I think I initially had this wire come down the side here. This is the positive wire off the battery. And I've also got the negative that way. But I did change that to going over the top. Now I put the tank back on, and this, I think it was just clearing, but there was literally no room there between that positive running down the side there and the tank. Now this is obviously, this portion here is not fused, so ideally I don't want that near anything metal. So I've put it over the top there. Now with the tank on, I can get my fingers in between this, so with the tank, so that's fine. And I've also just put a bit of that hard plastic conduit stuff on the top just to protect those wires going over the top of the battery. I've left the negative running down the side there. It does just clear the tank, and I mean the negative's fine anyway. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. I've also made up this little mini loom here, which is just a male spade and two females, and that is going to go down here. This is the blue plug on the back of the alternator. Not sure if you can see it, but this comes off the back of the alternator here, and you've got a male one in there and a female spade in there. Now I've just put a male spade terminal on this one here. This is the wire from the Easter Beaver unit that you put into switched power. Another thing I did, I mentioned I was going to possibly make a metal bracket in here to mount the relay on. I've actually just cable tied it all onto the battery box there. It's all nice and secure, it's not going to move. So this is kind of how it's going to sit in here. I'd say that's fairly neat. I mean, you don't see that anyway. Easter Beaver unit's here. We've just really got to run up the wiring for the accessories now. Now I've got this loom here which I pulled off my DR along with the Easter Beaver, and basically it's just 8 wires in some conduit, and I'm going to use this to power up my accessories. So I'm going to have 4 circuits I'm going to send up to the dash panel here. So I'm going to have that routed from the fuse box all the way up into the behind the dash here. That will give me 4 circuits. I'll probably have 3 switched and 1 permanent, but I can just I'll just have them sitting up there ready to go and all plugged into the Easter Beaver unit, just with no fuses in there, so they're not powered up. I'm planning to do GPS and some LED lights up front to start with. I may run additional LED lights because I had spotlights and a light bar on the DR. I may do something similar on this bike, and I'll probably also put like a USB charger or some kind of ACE plug up that end. That will leave me another 4 circuits that I could take off and put accessories anywhere else on the bike. So really I think this is a good idea. 4 heaps up there. Like I said, I only plan on using 2 at the moment, but I've got 2 open in case I need them. So we'll get this routed up and follow the frame wiring all the way up into behind the speedo cluster. Right guys, so that's the Easter Beaver install done. I'll just slap the tank back on and you can see it there. The seat on it's nowhere near anything. I think that looks real tidy actually. Nice and neat. Easy to get to the fuses as well if anything blows. So that wire comes down around here. It just scrapes the tank there, but it's all good. Like I said, I've double checked up on top of there and I can just fit my fingers in between the wiring and the tank. So that's all good. Then it'll come down, rounding up where you can't see it, but you can kind of see up there. This is where it's ended up. Now it's a little bit short of getting actually up into the speedo cluster where I wanted it to go. The wires just end literally right here. It's not a massive issue. It means just whenever I wire accessory up, I'll just have to make it a wee bit longer to go to there. So it's not really an issue. I can always just extend them slightly up into there if I wanted to. So like I said, I already pre-made that loom for the DR650, so I didn't want to make a whole new one really. I'm doing something different with the DR, so I don't need it anymore, so I might as well make use of it on here. It's a little bit short, but I can make it work. So I've now currently got 4 circuits up in my speedo cluster, and I can choose them to come and go as I want. Currently I've got them wired up to be 3 on when engine running, and one permanent power. So there's no fuses in here, so there's no danger of any of those wires being live up there at the moment. And all I'll need to do is put a fuse in one of those circuits and just test the wires with a multimeter to find out which one it is, and then wire it up to whatever accessory I want. I'll do it whenever I fit an accessory. I'll do a video on that. But that's a nice way to put it, nice and simple, easy to make a wee bracket up. Right guys, so the way I had that Eastern Beaver unit switched power wired up did not work. Well, it did work, but it caused an unforeseen problem. Basically what was happening was, so that wire goes live when that blue wire has an ignition feed live on it, going to the alternator. When the alternator is charging, there's a live coming this way. And what that does is switches off the charge light, because two lives can't make a light go on. But what I was doing was earthing that wire out via my relay, which was working. So when the bike was running, the relay would be switched, so I'd have switched power with the bike running, but there would also, that wire would be earthed, so my charging light would be on. So what I'm going to do now, I've been looking at many options here. I was considering going into tail light wiring and everything, but I don't want to cut into wiring. I don't like doing that to factory wiring. So the plug that goes in the back of the alternator, there is a green and a blue wire. The blue wire was what I went into before. I'm going to go into the green wire. Now it doesn't have a wee loom further back, so I'm actually going to have to go right on the alternator, but it's all spade terminals. So I'll be able to make up just a wee mini loom of 3 spade terminals and just go straight in there. Now the only thing I'll have to do is get rid of that plug. Just depin it all and just put it in straight in the alternator, which isn't a massive issue. It's just what I've got to do now. Unless I wanted to, I could cut that off and solder 2 wires onto that wire, but I'd rather not do that. So you can see in here, this is the plug off the back of the alternator. It's got the blue and the green on it. And you can see into the alternator there, just. There you go, where it comes from. So what I'm going to do is depin this plug. So if you won't be able to see on camera, but there's a little pin in these plugs that you've got to lever, and then the pins will pull out the back of the plug. So these 2 spade terminals, they won't have a plug on them, so I'm going to just put a bit of heat shrink on them so they don't touch each other. I survived. Right, so our wee mini loom that we made earlier goes into the green plug here, and then into my, where the hell did I put it? A switched feed. Then that goes back into the alternator. Did we say green went on top? So I've basically got rid of the plug and just put my wee mini loom in that green wire there and just straight onto the alternator. Now they are quite secure in there, they're not going to fall out. If they do, I know where to go. But they shouldn't fall out from there. We'll just start it up and make sure it's all good. Right guys, so thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, found it helpful, mind give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, just subscribe to the channel, and there'll be more accessory videos coming out on the big GS. But that's it for this one, so thanks for watching, and we'll catch you all next time. See you later.